everybody. I see some people already here in the chat. I see Ben Inn's already here. Scott Marian's already here. Sonic Boom is already here. I want to thank you guys. I know more people will be coming in a second. Good news, guys. It's a Wednesday, and my guest made it today. The one on Monday didn't make it, but Bigfoot, and I don't know why I always say that word wrong. I don't know why I always say anonymous. I apologize. And everybody was like wondering, hey, where's Bob? Where's Dr. Wu? Dr. Wu's running a few minutes late. He's coming in. But guys, the show must get going, because if I don't start the show in a certain amount of time, the feed to Facebook actually will disconnect. So I always got to jump on time. So when Bob gets here, he'll jump on. So I want to thank Bigfoot Anon for coming on, and we're gonna have a great time, guys. Today we're gonna talk about his channel. We actually have a guest who actually has a book that you can actually buy on Amazon. So we're going to talk about his book, his journey. Oh, there it is right there. Eerie Swamp.
Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden was my first book. And then Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner was another one. And then I just released Big Brother Bigfoot. So it's a trilogy, all before the new year. I went hard in 2020 to spread the truth, spread the knowledge, because I'm very nervous about 2021 this year being a lockdown on our freedoms and free speech. We're being canceled for having thoughts outside the box. So I wanted to get my stuff in print and distributed. And of course, Fahrenheit 451 will probably come true in the future, that they're going to burn books that have knowledge. But hey, let's get it out, spread the word right now, because people are going missing and vanishing from national parks. Missing 401, David Politis, and the news is covering some BS nonstop while people are vanishing. Women have went missing from Mount Rainier in the dozens the past 12 months, and no one's covering it. No one wants to speak up for the fallen. And, they're pushing their agenda and some Jersey Shore BS reality TV nonsense when people are actually suffering. So we have to be the voice, and you guys are doing a great job of alerting the masses. And I definitely appreciate it. Now it's my turn to, play my part. So I've been putting out books and then running Bigfoot Anonymous on Instagram and diving into paranormal stuff, ancient curses, pyramids in the Everglades, pyramids in Georgia. I backpacked from Florida all the way to Los Angeles searching for haunted stuff, and joined a punk rock folk DIY musical, and it really just threw me for a loop. I lived out in my car across America and met many strange people, and went to many strange places, and had to document it in my books. But realistically, it's all about the message, and it's bigger than you and me, and it surrounds us. But we're all ancient energy. Energy is never created nor destroyed. It's always existed. And the only thing to never freaking exist ever is a coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidences. So dragons, mermaids, Bigfoot, giant, Jack and the Beanstalk, all of the stories we've ever heard are true. Little Red Riding Hood, that was the first Dogman story I ever heard. And my name's Connor Flynn. And there's a farmer named Connor that's in Irish folklore that runs into 3 werewolves that are about to tear him up. And then the alpha comes out of the dark and stops him and says, hey, Connor, you remember when you saved a wolf when he was young and nursed him back to health? He said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He goes, that was me. And now I'm paying you back. And he saved him, and it's just like everything, all the stars align and ancient energy surrounds us, and they're trying to put up barriers. That's why we have to break free. We got to do meditation. We have to write down our dreams. We have to go full force at all of this, because there's no choice, because they're really locking us down. They're even locking our facial. We can't even express ourselves to our loved ones. They're trying to tell us how to live our lives and how to celebrate holidays, which are their holidays. We can't fall into that. All the holidays are really just made up imaginary stuff, but we have to just be bigger than all the structures they have built for us and connect on an energy level, because energy is never created nor destroyed. And electrons and protons, they come in wave and particle form. And most of the time we're particle because we're solid matter. But in the real true moments of being ourselves, that we can access our soul energy, we can become waveform. So that's either when we become a soul and go into heaven, or we can channel it right now. And there's, many instances of people disappearing, reappearing, getting soaked into boulders, getting abducted by aliens, being taken by, Bigfoot. And if they don't occur in death and end in death, then where are these people going when they're vanishing? And all the civilizations, the Mormons, the Manson family, all the Incans and Mayans, they were talking about Middle Earth and what's below us. I know that there's labyrinths below our feet. I live right by the Florida Aquifer. That's right where Godzilla.
Here's a question from a chat. Do you believe the Loch Ness a true story?
Oh, of course. They're a species. I grew up on Lake Erie, and that's famous for Bessie, South Bay Bessie, the plesiosaur monster, Nessie's cousin. And they're just a species. There's thousands of stories across rivers, lakes, and all ancient tribes across every known continent of these creatures. And they limit from, the gill man, like the creature from the Black Lagoon on my shirt, humanoid lizard people, to these dinosaur type creatures. But yes, there's thousands of these species and stories all around. But I grew up with the Lake Erie Monster, and the hockey teams named the Lake Erie Monsters around there. And I've had a couple strange instances that something bigger than a sturgeon has rocked my world off the boat and snapped my line, snapped my pole. And every time I was tubing,
somebody knows your area, because somebody wrote, it's so cold and airy.
Yeah.
It's so cold. Let me ask you this, because you said something in the beginning. Bob and I did a show actually on called Missing 411. Western United States and Canada. So Bob and I actually talked about
David Politis. Oh yeah, I love his stuff.
So what I want to ask you, since Bob and I did a show on 411, but these people are missing and we don't really know how, and not just that they're missing, some of these people are missing. The stories came out where these people can't even walk really. These people, if they got lost, they wouldn't be lost far, because they had some kind of injury or something. With the 411 missing, what do you think that's all about? Do you think they fall into another dimension, or maybe Bigfoot took these people? What's your idea, or what's your thoughts on 411?
Yeah, it's truly unexplainable. But yeah, I think there's a plethora of explanations. Of course, portals, and then people falling into crevices that they could never come back from. Bigfoot, alien abduction. Those also instances of people just disappearing, like becoming wave form. But all those are very far out ideas to the norm. But if you do your research in these ancient tribes and just stories of the land, they'll tell you, people have disappeared. But like in the case of Dennis Martin, someone saw a rugged creature carrying him over his shoulder. So that one was a Bigfoot instance. The Green Berets came in, truckloads of them, and wiped out many of the wild men. There's a cool channel called South Force 10 that he's a local guy of the Tennessee mountains, and he tells a lot of the inside stories that they wiped out like the Bigfoot population in a certain area because the one of them took Dennis Martin, and the FBI guy on the case ended up killing himself just because it was a heavy burden to live with. But then there's a ton of other stories that it's like it doesn't lead to Bigfoot, and there's occurrences that kids were taken from locked cars and they just have vanished, or people have been deep in the woods, and exactly like you were saying, a hunter that is an old man gets put up a mountain like 8,000 feet that he could have never been able to climb up, or little kids have went 12 miles in the woods through the night, and then they tried to have Les Stroud recreate it, and he couldn't do it. So something was clearly carrying him. And a lot of the kids, they have deep gashes on their hands. So those are Bigfoot instances that they're just being whisked away and then just ran through the brush at an enormous speed that they're being hit by everything. But David Blaze will be the first one to tell you. I'll be the first one to tell you. There are so many strange occurrences that it's definitely not just Bigfoot. It's not just aliens. It's not just people being sucked and the boulders. It's scary though, and people are not being warned about it. And it's so dangerous because the news is, propagating all this BS. And then, campgrounds and national parks have no warnings, and they whisk everything under the rug, and Freedom of Information Acts get denied. Where's the freedom? It's upsetting, man, because real people are vanishing. And like I said, women are vanishing from every single national park, and men, and people that are geniuses and have special abilities. It's so crazy. So there's definitely some kind of intelligence behind these disappearances, and they're usually followed by intense weather that wipe everything clean. All the blood, all the track, all the evidence is wiped. So either they can bring the weather, which people can do, and they have abilities, and so do creatures, definitely, but they also can just read how the weather channel's coming, and they can just plan it around those storms and solstices, and on the ancient ley lines of Earth, and these burial mounds and places with, disturbed energy are just hotspots for paranormal and vanishes. And it's really scary, man. But we're in the land of mound builders. Giants roam this country. There's 800 plus newspaper articles that describe it. Abraham Lincoln described these giants that roamed our lands. There's pyramids in Grand Canyon, Everglades, up in Georgia. They're hiding America's history, and them getting rid of like the Native American symbols and the Cleveland Indians and Washington Redskins. It's a clear cover up. In 20 years, Native Americans are going to be a myth. The white face is going to be
they're already a myth, really. They're already a
100%.
myth. Nobody even talks about the Indian race anymore. I mean, it's the only time you hear about them is when the Redskins or the Cleveland Indians, should they take the names down, which Redskins took the name off now, finally. But that's the only time you hear about the Indians.
Well, that oil.
You guys
when they run an oil line through their reservation, that's when you hear about them. Like, they were right there. I didn't know they were there.
When they're spraying them with high-powered water.
With high-powered hoses.
And you guys said,
this is not the land of the free. If anybody's being oppressed, we're all being oppressed. And, I got an argument or a debate with a family member the other day, and I was talking about they're taking our rights and liberties. And he's like, where have you been, your rights and liberties taken? Well, I almost got arrested for fishing during the pandemic. What a joke. Who the heck am I a risk to for fishing? And they got curfew, and then I've been canceled ever since the high school newspaper when they've been censoring me. So don't come at me about liberties, because ever since 9/11 they propagated all this new agenda, and it's
weird, because every state is different. Because actually here in Washington, I am allowed to go fishing. I'm just not allowed to go fishing next to people. So it is weird how every state has their own on how far you could go out and do something. Let me ask you guys something. Now, you mentioned something earlier about like people can manipulate the weather. We had the Matrix guy used to come on our show, tell us he could do the weather. But Bob, let me ask you, Bob. Now, do you think if somebody played, I know this is off the wall, but if somebody played a weird kind of a Ouija board and then a storm hits, playing with that Ouija board, could that cause a bad weather?
I debunk. I'm an anthropologist from an anthropologically, non-biased, chaotic, neutral kind of way.
I will explain my answer. I
do know that when you go playing around, I call them the djinn. When you start playing around with certain things, you start summoning, and they've got it. Indigenous cultures did it all the time. You start summoning. Yeah, you can manipulate things. You can bring something in that's not correct and start fucking with the weather. You can start cursing your entire family. You could do a lot of bad things. When you start playing, like Ouija board is the same thing as summoning.
This is why I bring up that question, because Bob, you sent me an email this morning saying, "Hey, are you guys' power out?" Because we actually
your power.
We actually had a storm last night, and I didn't even know we were going to have a storm.
Yeah,
and I didn't know they had an app. They actually have an app. Hold on. This is kind of funny. I was actually playing with it last night.
Yeah. And I do apologize. I do apologize for being late. I'm sorry. Bigfoot Anonymous. I'm sorry, dude. I'm late.
No worries at all. What is time? We're always existing,
Yeah. I'm in England, so I
actually have a Ouija board app. There's an actual Ouija board app.
What are you doing with a Ouija board? Well, why not?
Well, I thought, what the hell? You know, I was gonna have fun, right? So I downloaded a Ouija board app because I wanted to see if hold on. No,
You're not causing the weather problems with your app, are you?
So what it is you put your finger on it and you ask it a question. I was doing this last night for fun because I was going to see if Bigfoot was real once and for all. Is this a waste of a conversation? So the way it works is watch. Hold on, watch. We're just doing this for fun, guys. This is for fun. So,
okay.
Here, this is an app. So you put your finger on it. Is Bigfoot real? Hold on.
And it's supposed to move.
Let's see if it moves.
It's moving now.
Oh, it's moving. Oh, shit. You got to keep your finger on it, and I can't see.
Why? Somebody else read this. It's going too fast for me.
I think it's saying YES.
What? Did it say YES?
It's hard to keep my finger on it because I can't see it backwards.
It did go from that corner to that corner to that one.
Okay.
You want PR? You want pro? What? You want
proof.
You want proof.
Proof.
Oh, come on. No, that's fake, man. Come on.
I like it. Hey.
Hold on. I was just having fun, guys, last night.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, guys, this storm came out of nowhere. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah. What was that hand thing?
Yeah, a quick answer to proof is in my book, Eerie Swamps Road Trip to Eden. I have tons of pictures all throughout my books. I have pictures of this bone. It's the first metacarpal thumb bone of a mound builder. And my buddy, who's a military veteran, found that in a shoulder blade of a giant before, of course, the Smithsonian and the government could wipe it out and excavate it. But there's thousands of instances of people finding giant bones and full skeletons. We're in the land of kings and queens, and they try to sell us presidents. Like, get out of my face. Like, we need to search these ancient mounds and not search them like dig them up. We need to search the true history. You know, the Kulamoki Mounds in Georgia, there's 8 mounds around one central temple. It's 150 feet tall. It's a freaking pyramid, and no one wants to talk about it in America. Wow. And then in the Everglades, they have ruins of the ancient people who live there. And it's a shame that everything's being wiped under the rug, you know, and we're being kept inside our house. I'm sure they're digging up more of these mounds now while we're on lockdown.
Yeah. Right. More people are worried about the presidential crap than the world itself. It's like, okay, enough is enough. You know, when it's enough. Let's talk about other things. Everybody's got their too much of their heart or hard on for this presidential crap and about the other life. But when they ask you, Bigfoot, when did you first start to research Bigfoot in the first place? Was it an experience that you had that made you like, holy shit, there's something here?
Yeah. Well, I've always been into cryptids, of course, just because growing up near Lake Erie and then in Ohio, the land of the Grassman, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, they have many instances of Grassman occurrences, and there's a place called Helltown in the national park that's like the real life Silent Hill and Resident Evil, and there's chemical mutations because of government spills and testing, and there's hearses that will run you out and barns that will suck you in and never let you out. So I've always had been surrounded by this strange energy, and then right around the corner of my house was the Witch's Ball, where a woman killed like 9 people in our town from arsenic because she was being harassed for sleeping with a man while she wasn't married, and then they buried her under a granite ball. It's very cool. I got pictures of it in my book here. We visited it many times, and we get many strange occurrences. But this is a quick look at what the ball looks like. But it's a granite ball that is hot in the cold and cold when it's hot. And cults and witches surrounded late at night during like Friday the 13th and the equinoxes. And one of my best friends, Bill, his dad lived right by it. So we would always just keep an eye on it, like 24-hour monitoring. There's a crybaby bridge, then another haunted house right around the corner. So the strange ghost-like stuff was always surrounding me and strange creatures. But Bigfoot, first and foremost, this first encounter that I'll describe, Bigfoot is a very broad term to me. Sasquatch is the hairy guy, of course, but Bigfoot could be Mothman, the Gill Man, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Swamp Thing, all these cabras, the Rake, Gollum, little fairy people, the Fae. There's so many different types of Bigfoot. And then go into mud fossils, when you look into the mountains, there's faces in our mountains. Of course, this one is a carving, but there's actual mountains that used to be titans, back in the ancient days when God flooded the earth and turned them into stone. They're mountains. Go on Mud Fossil University or Seeing is Believing on Instagram. Yeah, there's thousands of instances that they show these titans. And so our earth is a lot bigger than they say. There's thousands of continents beyond the ice wall and below the firmament. So they're trying to sell us like a globe with 666 math and limited space and that we're pointless. No way. We're the center of this universe. This is bigger than the Matrix. This is God's creation, and not God like one way or the other. That's the only word I could give to it. They created this. Whatever created this intelligent design, it matters. And the sun and the moon are exact opposites, the same exact size. They're not light years away. They're fixed in the system. And the stars and the planets are in the sky. We're not flying through the sky. We actually matter. Everything is designed, and they're hiding Bigfoot and aliens and all these gremlins and gargoyles because that is our bridge to our creator. They got people going to church and huddling in there, and that's cool because I like positive energy, but it is a scam financially. I'm all about seeking the truth and the true energy. And sometimes I think some of these people got there. Mayans, Incans, they just disappeared from this realm and they went to the next one. So I feel like some of the missing 401 people, they went to where they needed to be. But sadly, I think some, paid a steep price for being in the wrong place, wrong time.
We also did a show about missing tribe. Where's the missing tribe? The 13th, Bob. Is it the 13th tribe, or what number was it?
Oh, you're talking about the lost tribes of Israel.
Yeah, the lost tribe of Israel.
Yeah, there's again a debunk. However, now I'm scratching my head, going, okay, there's evidence. The Mississippian people, they have found small artifacts around certain areas over there that actually is like early Hebrew. It's like, what the fuck? Early Hebrew. A lot of tablets, even one tablet. I've got a book on it over here. Actually, I'll bring it up here in a second. It shows what it's a calendar, and it shows actually what they consider in writing a firmament, and it shows like the moon and the sun like a machine, like in a firmament. And again, this was, and then to top it off, a lot of people from the Cherokee people and other certain tribes, but especially Cherokee, they did a special genetic test on the Cherokee that are claiming to be of Hebrew descent. So they ran, and I was like, nah, this is bullshit. I'm being skeptical, but I seen the results. They found, now they've debunked it. They have found. Oh,
it says here they share DNA with the Hebrews.
Yeah, they found the DNA. There is actual early Hebrew, not what we have now is kind of a mix between Middle Eastern and everything from everywhere, all over the place. But they found that early allele in the people. They go, whoa, we found evidence. There is it's on the table, smidgen of evidence that one of the tribes actually made it to the New World. Might have made it, and there's artifacts. So now you got to put it on the table and say, well, wait a minute now. Maybe the Cherokee people, they call them the educated. There's no such thing as educated people. They were just smart. All of them are educated. But in the ways of white man or civilization, whatever you consider what civilization is. But yeah, they seem to have characteristics and some of the early, like some of the artifacts in history of what you would have Hebrew people.
Well, it says here They were taking copper from North America to Europe thousands of years ago.
So it showed proof of a trade. So yeah, they could have been there. So a lot of these they call them the snake mounds, could have been early Hebrew people. Could have been all kinds of people.
Oh, for sure. They're all related, man. They found Egyptian, pottery and gems down in the Grand Canyon caverns, and there was like 30,000 people living down there. Of course, they just live in the pillars of Earth. Dude, the pillars of Earth, just think human beings. We take up the tallest skyscraper and the deepest hole, let alone that's nothing, They have caves and caverns below us. You know how far a mile is in a cave? They could have like 12 of our existences in 1 mile, let alone thousands of miles below us. There is civilizations and lives and suns below us. And that's where honest Abraham Lincoln went, Hitler went, all of the Mormon tribes. And that's what Charles Manson was trying to do. He was trying to take his family into Middle Earth, start a race war, and survive it out. Who's to say that's not happening right now? Charles Manson died last year. Yeah, right. I think he's leading a revolution coming.
Somebody had a question. Isn't copper good for all negative bloodline?
Yeah. Rh negative blood. I'm an Rh negative O blood. Copper. It's copper. High copper. Rh positive is high iron. So you got two different metals. So one body craves copper for the blood, and that's why when it they call them blue bloods because they're not Anunnaki and fucking whatever reptilians or Vulcans. Blue blood comes from oxidization of the blood. Blood oxidizes blue.
Well, here's a theory that Black Sheep researcher has. My theory is they immigrated from America and moved to Europe.
There you go.
Not the said Europe, then America.
Why not? Why couldn't they have moved from the Americas to Europe? Yeah, why not?
Here, what? Yeah. How do they get there to Middle Earth? Okay, that's a fair question.
Oh yeah, there's many entrances, through caverns, through holes, through portals, through just channeling your inner self. Like I said, we're protons and electrons can be waveform and be particle. Most of the time we're particle, meaning 99.999% of the time. But in our true moments of, achieving humanity, being ourselves, we could be waveform. So who's to say I don't just disappear from here and then appear where I need to be? If I could channel myself, then heck yeah. And I know people have done, mescaline, other psychedelics like ayahuasca, LSD, Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds. I've crumbled up the Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds, made the drink, and went back in time and actually put my feet in the sand next to someone that was running from whatever they were running from. Evan Tanner, he was a UFC fighter. He died in the desert, and I was really interested in it because he was one of my best favorite fighters. And I believe that maybe it was him or someone like him, but I went on a trip that I ended up in the desert. So, our shell is just a shell. Like we're energy. Everything is just energy and vibration. So yeah, we could be anywhere and everywhere all at once. And when we channel being ourselves. And some people take that as the matrix, the connecting energy, but however you want to say it, it's just the source energy.
Yeah, different language.
We can tap into it.
This guy wrote something interesting about, giving truth into stories.
Yeah.
I wonder if that has something to do with the silver bullets and werewolves thing, the blood type thing. Because in the theory that a werewolf could only die by a silver bullet, the certain kind of metal wolves, could that really be a line from stories from the past that somebody wrote that? Like, this is not really fake. This is really something.
It doesn't.
Everything has roots. There's no such thing as coincidence. The only thing that doesn't exist is coincidences. Megalodon, aliens, three-headed monsters. They all exist. Guardians, gargoyles, superheroes. It all exists under the firmament, the sun, the sky. Up is up. Down is down. When someone tries to tell you otherwise, just stop, man. People try to tell you that hell is closer than Australia. Come on, man. No. And then they'll be like, oh, it gets me going, man.
Do you think there's no wrong or right? We got a lot of flat earthers actually.
Everybody.
Do you believe that the earth is round or flat? The way I'm hearing you, it sounds like
Yeah, definitely not round. All that is 666 nonsense. If you look into it, it's very satanic and devilish. And I'm fighting for the soul. And they got a whole blind army of people, NASA fanboys and round earthers. And they don't even know that they're going like this to the devil. I'm fighting for the soul. I'm fighting for God. You know, the Bible, the Quran, the Egyptians, the Incas, the Cherokee, every single civilization ever, you know, said up is up and down is down. We're the first people to say,
So what do you think the
you know,
shape of the Earth is? What would you say the shape of the Earth is?
I think it's flat and infinite in every direction until it hits the dome, the energy dome. And if you look up like Operation Paperclip, Operation Deep Dive, you know, they were doing things in the 60s, and Hitler was in Antarctica. He had bases out there, and Walt Disney was on voyages that they actually found the ice wall and bombed it. And then they found the energy dome and bombed it. So it's like, if you look at Disney movies, you know, the thing goes, like you said, the firmament, the Disney logo, it shoots the star above right to the firmament. It paints it every time. Like people laugh at flat earth, but guess what? They go to church. There's, you know, the earth is fixed and movable. The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Like, come on, try to argue with that. What about salt flats? There's tens of thousands of square miles of flat salt land, you know, and like, dude, you can see Chicago across Lake Michigan 54 miles. So 100%. Curvature has never been proven. All they have is fake images from NASA that they literally say that there's an illustrator on. Guess what? There's no illustrators on real images. You know, if you look into real history, they're fake. Like Admiral Byrd, Admiral Byrd, he won the Medal of Honor. He was one of the highest regarded, you know, patriots of our time. He went beyond the poles, found lands of luscious jungle and mammoths, and then a higher intelligent being and race took him over and gave him tips. And then 2 years later, he comes back to Earth, or, you know, to the known Earth, and then they end up killing him. They lock him away and kill him.
Okay.
So
and then people want to say there's
no Bigfoot or anything.
What about?
And I've held a bone, so I got nothing for mainstream science or anything because I've already freaking seen opposite. So you know, we are science, we are truth, we are the news. You know, and I'm so sick of officials who just paid for a degree and they've got a list of blackmail. Dude, I haven't got it for them. I don't have it for them. You know,
what about,
and it's to spread the word.
Like even though the Earth, like I said, you could think. And we all have our rights to believe what we want to believe. You know, Earth is beyond the Earth being round or flat. What do you think of outside of life, outside this planet, out there? Do you believe there is life out there in planets, or? Oh,
definitely. There's thousands extraterrestrials. Terra means land. You know, they're trying to sell us that extraterrestrials come from 400 million light years away. No, they come right from beyond the ice wall. Extraterrestrials are a lot closer than we think. They're hundreds of miles away or right below our feet, you know, literally in civilizations and kingdoms right under our feet. And Atlantis is just the tip of the bubble. You know, there's thousands of cities under the sea. And then there's pyramids in the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River, the Nile. They all have ancient, true, like energy, man. Crevices can go deep into the world, and then the aquifer opens up. There's so much going on that they try to sell us this little dinkiness. Dude, look at Hawaii Islands. There used to be people. So no way is the circumference of Earth, you know, 25,000 miles. Like Earth is way bigger than they have given us, dude. They're limiting us on resources and making us hate each other, you know, black versus white. You know, even football teams hating each other. When there's, dude, extraterrestrials, there's terrestrials from other lands right in, dude, there's thousands of continents. There's maps from ancient temples, Hindu temples. If you talk to the right people, they'll tell you there's hundreds of continents, not 6. You know, idiots will tell you 7 continents, but they know that Antarctica is the final frontier. That's the door to the next land. And I hate to say idiots. I hate to be, you know, intense to people, but, you know, they're literally like summoning Satan.
Your belief is your belief. That's what you believe in, man.
That's what we bring you on here, man. Let it out. Anything you got.
100%. I'm 100% with it, man, because I've already seen giants exist, extraterrestrials exist. There's giant creatures in our oceans. There's weird, strange ruins all over America and giant mounds. And I've narrated over 200 newspaper articles that talk about giant excavations. And they talk about 11-foot skeletons being found covered in copper and gold. And that goes back to gold, you know, copper and silver bullets being against the werewolves. Heck yeah, it all connects in gems and crystals and gypsy roads, you know, it all connects, you know. When crystals
I knew I connect
their role, they disappear, you know. So who's to say when our soul does what it needs to do, it might just disappear into the next realm. And you know, some people call it heaven, some people say it's the next chapter, the afterlife. I'm big on the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament showeth his handiwork, you know, like that. I always throw people off on that because I'm not big on religion. I'm big spiritual, just truth in all directions. But a lot of these like Mormon people and Southern Baptists come at me at my work down here a lot. And then I throw them that and I'm like, yeah, heaven's real. And it's actually a real place. It's not a metaphor. God used his handiwork. And, you know, it's empowering to know heaven is a real place, but so is hell. And like, dude, it's a physical place you can actually go beyond the dome, and they try to sell you it's an idea. What do they think their soul goes to? It goes like past Pluto and then gets sucked into a wormhole, and then you're like, oh yeah, you're in heaven. No, my thing is you die, your spirit goes up, it leaves your shell and goes into heaven. And you can't, they've already tried to bomb the barrier, and then there's been video of rockets just getting stuck in the barrier as well. So old spirits can go through. And the Tower of Babel, when the Babylonians tried to build the tower to get to the heavens, that's happening now with these fake NASA, you know, missions. And I lived right by, you know, the Bermuda Triangle and over by the Space Coast in Florida, right where they ship the missiles off. Dude, if they were shooting rockets up to space, it would go straight up, wouldn't it? No, they ship it into the ocean, right to the Bermuda Triangle. Like, no one we're thinking on cruises because they're shooting bombs to the damn ocean, you know? The hills have eyes, so the water.
There was a ship lost in the Bermuda Triangle just like within the month. There was a cruise ship, it's gone in the Bermuda Triangle.
Somebody has a good question in the chat. I'm going to bring up this question, but I do want to mention. I do want to answer this real quick for Red Flag Rico, because he wrote to me, Cinderella drummer Fred produced an album of my old band. Speaking of Gypsy Road, just letting you know, Red Flag, I actually been talking with Fred Curry. We actually talk with each other on Instagram. Sometime in 2021, I don't know when, he is actually coming on my show.
No.
So I don't know when. I'm actually going to have Ricky Rocket come on the show this year. We're just they just been busy, but they said they will come on because they like what I do, which is flattering. But the question somebody came in, and it's a good question. I wonder why aren't allowed to know about the real world. So that's a good question. I know there's a lot of there is a lot of flat earthers said they always hated that question, but I'm like, that's a really good, decent question. If the earth is like what you're saying it is, and most people, why would the government care if we know the earth is round or flat? I mean, what did they get out of it from it? You know what I mean? I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, it's a good
question. I think a fair answer would be open up your eyes. Like, look out there in the reality and look how we're living. And that's how they have it of us. There's thousands of freaking continents out there and tons of extraterrestrials, and Bigfoot's real. And they still have us wearing masks, hiding, limited on Thanksgiving, you know? All religions would crumble. All religion would crumble. They're hiding Native Americans. Like, what would be the point of a president if there's already been 1,000 kings in America? Like, dude, they're hiding all of the history. And if they got you living on a ball thinking Australia is down there, then dude, everything you do from there on is based on that, and it's all satanic numbers. And you guys know summoning is powerful, dude. And these guys worshiping the you know, like, dude, imagine the power they have of leading the masses towards the wrong way. There's thousands of continents. They probably have treaties with people in these other lands, and they're just holding us down. Like, dude, we haven't even sparked their defense yet. We're literally arguing over donkeys and, you know, elephant, and they have existence beyond. Like, our souls I'm looking for Tesla. I'm trying to live like Tesla or beyond Tesla, because of course Nikola Tesla is probably just a patsy they gave us. He's just another false flag. It's beyond all that. The mound builders, dude, they were, the Native Americans had powers, and all the native, Asian people, the dragon, the power of the dragon, there's total truth being swept under the rug, and they're hiding the lamp, man, and they got us looking into space when we should be looking in ourselves, and it all just goes to they're worshiping false gods and false truth. And
asked for your channel. So now everybody knows. Somebody asked for your channel, so I put it in the chat again. Bigfoot's channel, and also his YouTube channel is also in the description. So even if the show's over, guys, his channel's in the description. But I actually met him through Instagram. That's where we did our talking. So
follow me on Instagram, everybody. Bigfoot Anonymous. I'm dropping new exploration videos every single day. I was already exploring an abandoned house this morning. Got some good footage. And I take my EMF reader and my dowsing rods, and I dig into crazy stuff. And I do real world stuff, investigation and camps and fishing. And then, I'm writing books, man. I'm puffing on CBD, summoning, these strange creatures, and people want to look at the long hair and throw accusations out. But guess what? I'm really about this, I run full speed at the unknown, and people think it's a joke and laugh at Bigfoot and flat Earth when the Bible says the Earth is flat. Look at the Hebrew conception of universe. That's what the Bible describes. They can say it's a metaphor and everything, but the Bible describes the Hebrew concept of the universe. It's the geo right above. And if you look at the World Health Organization, the people locking us in our houses the past year, it's a flat earth map. And go on Air Force One, it's a flat earth map. People better just start doing their research. Type in the curvature, formula, and then pick a location where you can see a mountain from hundreds of miles. The farthest photograph ever taken, 274 miles away of some mountains. So that's 9 miles of curvature. The tallest mountain in that picture is 2 miles tall. So how the heck can I see a mountain 2 miles tall under 9 miles of curvature? The math just doesn't add up. It's really a slap in your face if you look in it. And I've just looked at it, and I'm not taking any more slaps in my faces. I've already been vaccinated and worked on as a child, that I'm done with it as an adult. I'm staying away from all these freak shows.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. And I know this might sound weird, and I'm not here promoting flat Earth or round Earth, but so you're flat Earth, but there is groups of flat Earthers don't believe that there's no life out there. We're the only life there is right here. And my thought was, if the Earth is flat, why can't there be other flat planets? Why does Earth is the only thing that exists anywhere? What do you think of that?
Well, in the concept of flat Earth existence on the Hebrew, conception of the universe, the planets are actually fixed in the firmament, and they glow, and they're deities. So they're not floating rocks. Mars, all the pictures of Mars are of Australia, just edited. I've seen hundreds of examples of it.
I heard that.
But the planets out there are deities. They're not floating rocks. It's the Holy Trinity. It's the sun, the moon, and Earth is the system. And fixed in the system, fixed in the firmament, the barrier of us and the next chapter. Heck yeah. So I believe there's extraterrestrials and other land inside this, bubble, say. And then the real question is, what happens when we're spirit form and we go outside the bubble? That's what I'm going after. And that's what the true creator destined us to go after if you read all the books and connect all the dots, but NASA throws a quick little hi-ya, and it cuts off probably half people from even getting a chance at heaven. And I'm trying to go to the next chapter, and I've done meditations and psychedelics and went to strange places in my dreams that I know there's something else out there. So we need to get through the firmament and into heaven, and that's my goal.
I think I got breaking news. Dr. Wu learned how to read.
Yes.
Book.
I don't look at internet. I just read. So here's an artifact. If you guys see it, it's found in Iowa.
Yep. Look at that.
It's in Hebrew. It's in Hebrew in the United States, or I call it the States, North America. I wouldn't call it United. But so they found that it's early Hebrew, and they found this in the States, and you guys could see it's called a calendar stone, and you can see where there's the moon and the sun, and of course a swirly in the middle, and people across the land, and on top is what they would consider the firmament from the.
I'm just asking because I but could it just be that there's that line just because they got words between those lines? It's not really meant to be.
Well, though that's a calendar.
I'm just asking. And the words between the lines are maybe the layers of heaven. Just like Norse mythology, they believed in many layers of heaven and many layers of the underworld. So there, I think you have to go through many trials and tribulations to actually access probably true heaven's kingdom. But that's what they're trying to wash up. But yeah, that's very cool. I
respect that. I still believe the Earth is round, but I respect everybody's opinion. I love.
Yeah. Once you look into it, man, curvature has never been measured. It's all just, you're just taking it based on someone else's word, and those people's word, NASA means to deceive in Hebrew. So I'm already done with them. But but other people that say, I don't know about other terrestrials are like, dude, fairies exist, Mothman exists, strange creatures in the sky, in the water too, like mermaids. Of course, there's more mermaids than there are of us, and there's more Sasquatch than there are of us. So I don't really have time for people that deny other existence, because clearly there's things in the sky that the military has. I already saw those videos when they were released, and I knew they were authentic. I didn't need disclosure or any of that BS. I don't rely on those agencies for really anything.
It came out of Israel, right? Israel. I was like, oh, okay. Those were pyramids on your book, right? Those are 3 pyramids.
Yeah, 3 pyramids, and then the sky, or I mean the sun and the moon, and then the stars in the sky.
So here's the 3 pyramids. That's the old style. That's the old 3 pyramids. Now, do you remember 3 pyramids, or do you remember more than 3 pyramids?
I've seen a couple diagrams of there being a lot of other small mounds and a whole.
I only remember 3. That's why I was. I'm within that. They call it the Mandela Effect camp. Whatever you want to call it. I call it the. I can't remember what the fuck is going on. Everything's different for me, camp. But there was only 3 for me, and it's kind of cool that you showed yours, and it was on that etching, on that sketching. It was only 3. Yep. So that was I guess 6 or 7 around that little area.
And that was carved in Ohio, where I got that. And that's the land of the mound builders, man. There's 10,000 mounds in Ohio. It goes back to ancient history, man. I think I'm a Buckeye for a reason, and I came from the land of the mound builders and the land of the sun worshippers just to show me. I grew up going to Moundsville, West Virginia, right across the river from my grandparents' house, right by the West Virginia Penitentiary, where Manson's family was, Manson's mom, and he grew up at. And it's right across the street from a giant mound that they excavated giants at. So I'm just so tired of people wiping our history, and I'm really scared for Native Americans that they're going to be forgotten in this next coming decade. And all is being, forgotten and wiped from the history books. They think they can erase people and cancel people, and that's just not fair. Not in a free land, at least.
Yeah.
And we need a revolution.
Yeah, well, it's happening. It's happening on the dark web, but it's happening. It can't happen on the open web. I'll tell you that right now.
Now, do you believe
electronics?
Do you guys believe in any thoughts? Because Bob, have Matrix shows all the time that maybe the only reason we're thinking all this because it's the Matrix, it's the AI, a glitch or whatever. Do you believe in an AI that's doing all this, maybe, or?
Yeah, that's what's scary, because my vision, what I see, does have some kind of creator or some kind of intelligence. And until we cross that bridge, until I get those answers from those angels or fallen ones, then I agree. I don't know if it's a god or a computer, because yes, ET and AI is moving forward as one, because all these UFO disclosures are not randomly timed right at this time that robots are moving forward. Self-driving cars surround us. I don't know if you guys see them in your guys' place, but down here in Florida, every day to work, I see self-driving cars. People are sleeping, It's crazy. And we're just a click away from our cryptocurrency just evaporating from our account and our cars crashing. I survived Hurricane Michael, 26 days without power after. No help, no assistance, no nothing. And it didn't matter if you had $1 million or $10,000 or $10. You couldn't access your accounts. You got what you got. And if they just turn off the lights or just turn off everybody's credit cards and all this new cryptocurrency that they're dumping their money into, dude, we're just a little battery button that they just turn off. And I want to keep my soul intact and be a part of this.
Now, 26 days. Now, fill us in. Now, how did you do it? Did you have canned food? What did you do? Water? What was the water like?
I had some canned food, and then a couple of the churches got deliveries, and you literally went into the church and you get food. But I live right down the street from my my mom and my grandparents. Cook and raise all their own food in their garden. So we have so many cans that we could definitely live out of maybe some type of apocalypse for a couple weeks or months. But people underestimate the power of anything. If it's the government taking us over, they have sonic boom weapons that you can have a whole arsenal of guns, but they can make your ears bleed from miles away. It wouldn't even matter.
Microwave too. Microwave technology. They also have the pixely lights that'll make you throw up.
Yeah, 100%. Every single light or anything that could turn on can be manipulated by them, and they can access through a light bulb. They can see us, and they can take over your mind. Yeah, exactly. Through special sequences, they make it flash 5 times, and you don't even know it to your normal eye. And then you're killing someone or you're sleepwalking. It's crazy. People want to draw limits, but don't hate on me because I've researched or read more. And I want the same thing. I don't want to hate on anybody that's researched or read more than me. I just want to try to stay open, but I don't want to also fall for these traps because these freaking Satanists have went through government, science, education, everything, and they're just teaching lies to our kids and not protecting them. Because guess what? The 401 is a very well thing. And are they teaching curriculum? So no, they don't care about nobody. Vaccines are a joke. Masks are a joke. They don't care about nobody. If vaccines were real, they would cost thousands of dollars. Come on, man. This is all.
A question from the chat. Somebody wrote, "If we can leave, why haven't we figured it out?"
Okay.
Well, the Antarctica Treaty, just based on, not going to Antarctica, because that's the final frontier. Antarctica is a round circle around us. It's like a bowl, it's like a face, like a plate, just like the Bible says. But in every direction outward is the ice wall. And beyond that is the final frontier. But even before you hit the ice wall is the 60th parallel. And the Antarctica Treaty is signed by every single government that exists, that you can't go past that, the final frontier. So that shows that there's treaties with other, clearly, and there's higher things going on. But all wars are a fake, and everything is a fraud as long as the Antarctica Treaty exists, because they still have this treaty, but they could, manipulate our young women and children and send them to war to die just because it profits both sides. So we really need to get on peace, freedom, and humanity and stop giving in to these freaking Satanists.
Somebody wrote, "Who started the rapture talk?"
I'm not even a churchgoer or anything, and it just shows. It's seeping into our reality. Who started the rapture talk? Look outside. Everybody's walking around with masks like the rapture's existing. So I think I'm just narrating. I'm just looking outside. But I definitely agree. It's coming times, and we're really being tested. So we have to bound together, and that starts with the truth. So Bigfoot exists, dragons exist, Loch Ness Monster is real, heaven is real, so is hell.
Somebody wrote, "There is a gateway in the Antarctica wall through. It's an old maps. It takes sacrifices to cross, and the portal is called Bawitaba." Not even kidding, like the Kid Rock song, Bawitaba.
Have you heard of that?
I've heard of things like that. I've never actually heard of that term, but yes, I've heard of different portals or entrances in Antarctica that required certain summoning or things. Because why do you think Hitler sacrificed so many people? Come on, it all ties together, but they were teaching us about Anne Frank, who might not even existed. And it's a deep rabbit hole to get into, but the Holocaust is a very dark place, but it might have had even darker ties to taking over the rest of the world and humanity.
Well, yeah, Hitler was a homosexual. People didn't know that. He was gay. He was he went to art school, which he probably drank water, which makes him gay. I'm a beer drinker, but anyway, yeah, he was gay.
Art means you're automatically gay.
No, I'm joking. No, I'm only playing. No, I worked at Fort Lewis Historical Army Museum. I worked there. Everyone knows I'm a museum guy. I worked there for years, and they talked about the history of Hitler that people don't know about. The man was thought to have been in love with a Jewish man at his art school, and then he brought him to a party, and everyone made fun of him. Anyway, he went through a whole dark moment, but I think he was actually working for the government to begin with, like you talked about. He's part of the system. He was supposed to be there. The guy was a little bit off on his little mind. I think he was gay. We also took all these medications because he was flagellant real bad. He had a doctor that traveled with him. He didn't eat meat because it stunk so bad when he's in a room with people doing stuff because he'd farted 24/7. He'd flagellant. So the guy it was kind of a joke. I was like, how does this man do so much so fast? A lot of the things I question now about him, like you said, some of the system to me now, I'm looking back as a conscientious person going, this guy seems fake to me. Like he was part of somebody else's plan. Like he was in on it with the guys behind the curtain. There's no way.
And they're going to paint Trump as like a Hitler type creature, but clearly they thought he was just a puppet and being manipulated too. And it's sad that our history has been whitewashed and rewritten so many times that it's like a freaking fairy tale. And I like fairy tales way more than political BS, you know, because fairy tales actually have magic, and they wiped magic out from our reality, and they just try to give us illusionists like Chris Angel and freaking just all these freaking made up people, man, and fake actors like Will Smith, man. Like these people are summoning dark arts in Hollywood, and they put the subliminals right in the movies, and it really pushes society to the agenda what they want to live. So you want to see the truth, just watch cartoons and movies. They predict the program, you know? They told us 9/11 was coming. They told us this pandemic was coming. You know, if you look at the Denver airport, they had all the nation people wearing masks. And I remember freaking posting that like 5 or 6 years ago. And it's like so crazy. It's scary, man.
Somebody wrote something in the chat that I actually respect his thoughts. And I don't want nobody to take this the wrong way. He wrote, so please stop saying there's a portal in Antarctica or Arctic. Not saying there isn't, but where's the proof? And that's a fair question and all that. Is there proof, or is it more of a belief system? Because how do we know if somebody actually even has the proof? You know, it's not falsified. You know,
there's pictures of bases in Antarctica that they don't even say exist, and there's maps. Like, just do some digging and don't take Google's who's written by them. Like, just do some research. You know, like real? You know, like those people that say there's proof, just freaking dig for some proof. Like, no one's making this up. Like, it has to come from somewhere. You know, the Germans were in Antarctica for a reason. Like, look at Admiral Byrd's diary, dude. Like, and no offense to him, you know, I'm speaking to him and all people that are just confused. Like, dude, if you're looking for the proof, dig. Like the Antarctica Treaty stops you from going through a 60th parallel. So everything in Antarctica is unobtainable. And the one place that they do take tourists to, that you have to fill out like hundreds of thousands of dollars of permits and stuff, it's just one point. It's just one peak. Like, you know, it's the destined spot to see it. So I could just say, do some digging to the Germans and why they were in Antarctica. And what about like Operation Deep Freeze and Operation High Jump? These are military missions that they found the wall, they found the dome. Like, it's military mission.
That's true. Germany's known to send their people around the world to find anything that can help them win the world, like any paranormal, anything. They were sent everywhere.
They were looking for evidence of the original. Well, what they said, this is the narrative, everyone, don't be freaking out. The narrative of the original Aryan, there was a group called the Aryan. Doesn't mean they're a big white squared up. No, that means it was an Aryan called the Aryan race, and they were looking for the actual proof of that. And they thought that at one time they blanketed the entire back of this turtle, man, in every country and everywhere. So they sent archaeologists out to even up as far as Tibet, to find evidence, and they found it in places like the steppes of China, where they found Again, with what you said, giants, redhead, always the gingers, giants.
Yep.
And they were dating back thousands of years. I'm like, well, how the hell did they get there? How are they so big? Where the hell did they come from?
You're a museum guy. The Humboldt Museum out in California used to have 2 giant skulls on display, and then the owners changed, and then of course the Men in Black came out, and they deny it. I've actually called them and asked them about it, and they rushed me off the phone. It's classic, and there's pictures of them back in the day when they used to be in. And the Smithsonian, they've wiped it under the rug. So anybody that's really denying any of this just needs to do more research and stop being fooled by the government and stop believing everything the babysitter says. And I hate to be harsh about it, but I get laughed at every single day at my job, and I'm like, because I read more into it than you. Like, they go to church, and literally their God says there's 4 corners of earth, there's pillars below the earth. It's fixed and unmovable, and they try to still tell me that we're spinning and flying. Dude, the constellations, Orion's belt, the Big Dipper are all the same since you've been a kid, since I've been a kid. Come on, dude, that doesn't happen when we're flying. Come on. Are we moving right now? Are we moving right now? No, we're stationary. Yeah. And then it stops right there. If anybody wants to tell you sea level curves, come on, sea level. Like, come on, horizon. Horizontal. We totally forgotten, we listened to the 3rd grade, science teacher, but we forget this 3rd grade spelling teacher. Like, dude, we spell words. Come on. Horizon.
Here's a question. DNA websites say on blood tests that we have Neanderthal DNA now.
Well, the truth on that one is we have there's a 2% Neanderthal DNA. But people don't realize that people of more of Asia have more genetic with Neanderthal and Denisovians, more genetics with that one. That was the Cro-Magnon, and then you have we want to go down that route. I know right during the show, I don't think anybody's going to be going down that we came from monkeys, right? I don't believe anymore we came from anything like that. Yeah. There were never monkeys anyway. They
we come from the mound builders, the ancient man, if anything, not gorilla Zoe.
But they were a separate species of human, and they had very large fucking brains and a very large head. So they had a whole, and they did intermingle with Homo sapiens.
Bob, you do like a lot of bananas, so
I do like a lot of bananas.
If you're allergic to peanuts, they say you have Neanderthal DNA. Yeah. So
Ozzy Osbourne. He's the poster child for Neanderthal DNA. They were running. I'm not fucking with you guys. Do your own research. They were doing it on Ozzy Osbourne, and they had found that he has a lot of Neanderthal DNA compared to the normal Homo sapien. I'm like,
I think he was biting bats' heads off. He's he was the man. Ozzy knew, and Neanderthals were one with this earth. They got ancient tribal connection, man. It's a spiritual connection for sure.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Somebody agrees with you. Somebody wrote true.
Could I go DNA? I was saying my first book is about it's Erie Swamp's road trip to Eden, and right around here. I thought it was interesting that one person said maybe North America started and went towards Africa, and that it was like reverse history. Well, 15 miles from here is the Garden of Eden Trail, and in that trail, in that park, 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible are in there. The delta that breaks into 4 rivers, like the good book says, it only occurs in 2 places in the whole world. Right here and in Siberia. And Siberia is cold most of the time. I understand it's ancient exotic times, but it's 50-50. But then there's deep valleys and cliffs and ancient ley lines. Most of Florida is flat. Right there is steep valleys and cliffs, just like the good book says. And then there's other things like onyx and marble being mentioned in the Bible, and right north in Georgia, those. So it's all surrounded by Native American mounds and civilizations. Eden may have been in Florida, but it may have been in many places because the Fountain of Youth water seeps through many rivers and creeks, and many people achieve their true self and find what's turned. I think a pond turned into the right time, the right place, the right ray from the sun can become the Fountain of Youth. So people people's ancient energy runs deep into Middle Earth, and some people say Hitler and Abraham Lincoln and maybe even JFK, I hope so, are still alive, sipping from the fountain of youth in Middle Earth.
Or on the other side of the wall. They're probably over there chilling with Mai Tais. And like,
Yeah, they're probably so much cleaner than ours, and they're not getting zapped by Wi-Fi. They're just getting it absorbed. They just have the source energy, you know?
Hey,
Elvis is playing music for him
with
right
your
now.
permission, you have a video on here that's called Interview with Dogman Witness. Can I play that?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Because I know a lot of people in my chat are into Dogman.
For sure. Can I explain it real quick?
Yeah, go for
just how it all happened.
Yeah.
This dude's name is Cody. He lives near one of my best friends, Ronnie, who found the giant bone. Well, he always told me, he's like, yeah, dude, you'll have to talk to Cody. He had something that was taller than the treetops come after him in the woods. And treetops is 30 feet tall. That's a 30-foot tall werewolf. It's some scary stuff. So I saw him walking when I would drive to work a few times. And like I wanted to stop, but I was like running late or something. And then one time, I ran into him at the gas station, and he was actually working, so I asked him to go to the side and talk real quick, and the rest is history. But I was recently on Dogman Encounters Radio with Vic Cundiff last weekend, and it got like 30,000 views over the weekend, so my Dogman blood is boiling, and it's awesome, man. So definitely check out a bunch more Dogman stuff from me, but this is the start of something good.
Let's check it out. Let's hear it.
Hey, it's Bigfoot Anonymous here. I'm with my dude Cody. We have a mutual friend, Ronnie, who takes us on some crazy adventures. I heard you have a wild experience, man. Could you explain it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do have a wild experience. A couple years ago, I was walking my friend back to his house because he was scared of the neighbor's dogs. We went down to the end of Tim's and Sons right over there, and we thought we'd seen a bear. But whenever we actually seen him move, he was crouched down about 12 foot and wider than a tank. And whenever he stood up, he was about tall like a telephone pole.
Telephone pole, yeah. You said he was taller than the trees.
He was tall, man.
And he seemed like he looked like a werewolf more than a Bigfoot.
He looked like a werewolf more than a Bigfoot. And his head, man, was huge. He had claws.
And it was pitch black. You couldn't even see.
You couldn't see anything except for him.
But when he evaporated into the light, he brought the darkness with him.
He jumped and turned into a dot in the sky.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And did you hear any growling?
No growling. He just sat there and watched us for about 10 minutes.
Wow. And could you feel anything in your chest, vibration?
I was like, oh, my heart fell down to my foot. And it was actually the first time in my life that I pulled my pocket knife out and with someone next to me, like a friend.
Yeah.
And actually meant defense.
Jesus, right?
It was the first time in my life that actually happened.
Wow. Have you had any other strange occurrences in those woods?
No, just that.
I know you've had some paranormal activities, but nothing matches up against something taller than the trees.
Yeah, that's a first, and that was the last time, hopefully.
Wow, bro. Well, I definitely appreciate the information, and hopefully me and you will be joining Ronnie on a journey here soon.
My friend quit hanging out with me because of it.
Really?
Yeah, he said that, how do I know you're not trying to feed me to your werewolf uncle? I said, dude, that's crazy, but and I was like, dude, how do I know you're not trying to feed me to your werewolf uncle?
Yeah.
And he quit hanging out with me.
And there's a lot of Native American legends around here about the Rougarou. Yeah, that's what I remember Ronnie telling me, is that you guys had a lot of family history and stories.
Yeah, we might be cousins, me and Ronnie, actually, because he was telling me how his family's huge.
Wow.
And I was telling him some of the last names. He's like, I know him, and I think I'm probably related to him.
And there's a lot of stories in Rocky Creek right in your guys' neighborhood, man.
Oh, man. That road's got so much juju down it, I don't even go down it.
Yeah. Giant monsters.
Yeah.
Wendigo, skinwalkers.
Tell you about that huge crab that they ran into?
No.
Dude, get him to tell you about that one.
All right, giant crab?
He said he ran into a crab that was about 30 foot tall.
Jesus Christ. I know he's heard a lot of stories in the caves, and he has the prehistoric bone of a giant. Man, I appreciate it, bro.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, man. Later.
Okay.
Yeah, and some people were commenting that I was leading him when I was not at all. The story's been going for like 3 years before I even moved to Florida. But of course, I meet him at the gas station. I'm putting a camera up in his face. He's going to not remember all the fine details. And I knew the story, so I like kind of helped him out, you know? So that takes common sense to see, but you know, like I just hope everybody knows. But that video got like 1,600 views in like 2 days. And a lot of people were, you know, saying, heck yeah. But a lot of people were saying that I was leading him, and it's like, no freaking way. It was freezing cold.
There's a history of Washington, Eric, right? There's a history of Washington. I think they were fighting with vampires. There was a girl involved. You know what happened? I guess she got pregnant by one of the vampires, and then so now one of the werewolves takes care of the child. It's up in Washington.
Oh, you're talking about Twilight and Washington.
Yeah, Twilight. It was fucking
Twilight.
100%, man. King Arthur was rounding up a werewolf army. There was people saying that Hitler was working with werewolves. Marco Polo documented them over time. There's so many legends of werewolves and lycanthropes and rougarous down here in the Cajun swamps down in Louisiana. The Honey Island Swamp is king of the Honey Island Swamp Monster, and I was just there a couple months ago doing tours and talking to the locals and seeing what kind of voodoo we could twirl up, and went to New Orleans and visited all the haunted spots there. But yeah, the werewolf is very prominent around here down in the South, and where I'm from in Ohio. So, you know, even in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, like Bigfoot, you know, is taking over, but there's a war going on with Dogman. There's plenty of stories about Cryptids Canada and like Buckeye Bigfoot that talk about Dogman and Bigfoot battling each other.
One of your videos says, I think it says Demon Dog. Interviewed with a man who encountered a demon dog. Is that almost like a Bigfoot just that walks on 4 legs, or?
He describes it as kind of like those bloodhounds from like Resident Evil, those black dogs with like faces from hell. You know, maybe Satan's pet himself. But that's my buddy who has given me like 9 encounters that he's seen. He saw a bunch of gnats and flies take form and create a being, a hominid being, and walk away from a swamp. So down here in the stained soil of the Civil War, where a lot of blood has been shed, the juju and the energy is very manipulable, and some dark forces are really at play down here.
Have you ever got that thumb bone of Bigfoot you discover in Florida? Have you ever got that like analyzed to, I don't know, somehow analyze it to?
By who? Some people that have been blackmailed and Freemason. That's a joke, you know. No, it's a fair question, but that's a joke. What are we gonna do? Give a piece of gold to the bum that wants to tell us like, oh yeah, well, let me inspect that. Come on, like we found it. My buddy Ronnie found it in the woods. Like, he doesn't have to have anybody tell him what it is, you know? I think he said he's brought it to his doctor and just seeing if it was a thumb bone. But if you actually just look at a human diagram and inspect it, it's a petrified thumb bone, first metacarpal thumb bone. And there's thousands of skeletons of it, so one thumb bone. I'm trying to find the rest of the skeleton, you know? I'm not getting caught up at sending my shit away to colleges. Like, come on. Mud Fossil University.
Be careful. You might come up with a body, and then the cops are going to want to know where the hell what's your background, you know?
That's true. That's true. For sure. Now, what do you think of this? The title of the show is Bigfoot an extraterrestrial visitor? Some researchers think so, you know, because Bob and I have discussion on this channel that maybe Bigfoot is interdimensional, that it travels. That's why I had that Stargate symbol on my thumbnail, that they actually travel through Stargate, a timeline or another universe. Do you think Bigfoot, in your opinion, is just like a human here, it's just another creature, or do you believe that maybe Bigfoot is from somewhere else?
I think it's the true ancient being of Earth, so it's everywhere Earth can ever be is where Bigfoot's from, and they've done DNA research on the actual Sasquatch. You know, Scott Carpenter, David Paulides, their team has gotten over 120 DNA documents, and they've had it tested. And the nuclear always comes back. The nuclear part of the DNA, which is the father's part, always comes back unknown. And the mitochondrial of the female part is always human female, you know? So it goes back to, the ancient beings from the sky came down and mated with the women of Earth and created these beings. I don't know if they're us. I don't know if they're Bigfoot, but yes, we clearly come from the sky, and DNA is older than they even say Earth is. So somewhere in our blueprint came from outside the dome, outside the bubble, outside the universe, whatever picture they want to paint it. Then yes, for sure, there is definitely blueprint of us from somewhere else, that grand source. And the only way I think we'll be able to decipher it is through glimpses of meditation and dreams and really achieving, but also when we die, when we become our spirit form in our 21 grams and we fly into the firmament and we get all the answers we ever needed. But honestly, that just might be our ticket punch, and then it's a whole new mountain to climb. So I'm just ready. I'm ready, and I'm trying to be pure. But I believe that Bigfoot is so natural, it's supernatural. Like I said, if you manipulate energy, if you become yourself, you can vanish, you can disappear. And they have infrasound that could shut you down and put you into a trance, just like a lion, just like a big mammal, any other big mammal. And then they also have echolocating, just like a dolphin, just like a bat. If you just take all the best properties of animals and give them to the true ancient being of this earth, they're masters of this earth. They've been here way longer than us, and they have the answers, and they're not getting poisoned or anything. So they're so supernatural that it seems magical to us, but that's what we could be. You know, if we weren't getting zapped by Wi-Fi and all that and all this hatred, then maybe us human beings could perform miracles. We could create worlds and universes in our dreams and really recreate realities. There's no possibilities, dude. There's a power inside of all of us that we can't measure. And that power will take us to the next chapter.
I'm thinking of dancing girls.
I know, but we don't want Bob to learn that power, because
I'm gonna learn that power.
The world's gonna be upside down
on every corner.
But Bob and I have had guests on this channel from Bigfoot communities, and some of them say signs of Bigfoots in the woods is that they've seen orbs around these Bigfoots. What do you think about that?
I've had that occurrence multiple times. In one of my chapters in Erie Swamps at Bellamy Bridge, the very first time we were out there, we saw orbs in the sky, orange lights, and we thought there was two moons, and it was turning us around. I was with two military veterans that were having a hard time navigating. So it was totally something unnatural and something bigger than us. And again, if they can manipulate vibrations, then they can easily make something light up in the sky, and it's just electricity, really. But there's some missing 401 occurrences that like a father and son were deep in the woods, and then the father, the son's like really weak or something, and like passing out, and the dad sees some lights, and he's like, "Here, stay here, kid. I'll be back." Some lights in the middle of the wood. And he runs after him, and then the kid's gone. So there's definitely these beings and other channels that are interrupting into our realm. And orbs are definitely one of them. In the Dyatlov Pass incident, when 9 of the hikers were killed, they saw orbs and lights in the sky. And I've had UFO encounters that feel like they took it over my mind from hundreds of miles away, and it felt like an instant. So there's definitely strange things in the sky that are linked to the things in the ground.
Well, the ones in Russia, wasn't there a bunch of hikers in Russia, and all of their bodies were just they're just ripped apart and dead?
Mutilated. Yeah.
Mutilated.
Sternum crushed, and they were all in different locations, and some of them showed hypothermia rather than facing it. And the tent cut from the inside. It's a really cool one. And there's actually pictures of a wild man, but some people say it's debunked. I really don't care about pictures or any of that. They're out there. And like Scott Carpenter has also proved in his DNA, they have translucent colors in their hair. So they actually absorb the background colors. And no wonder, all pictures are blurry and everything. And of course, when they can manipulate energy, they could turn off electricity. Why do you think trail cam and UV lights really have no effect on these guys? They are masters of their, if someone came in your house and set something up, you would know. They know this, and they mess around with us. And military is well aware. And if you go onto Bigfoot Case Files or How to Hunt or Dixie Cryptid, there's hundreds of stories every week of people having encounters. Military, police, firemen. They recovered like 60 bodies from Mount St. Helens. And around here, another one of my chapters, the Ocheesee Pond Wild Man. In the Ocheesee Pond in the 1800s, Native Americans and Civil War veterans captured a Bigfoot that was harassing the women and children. They took him to Chattahoochee Hospital, thought he was an escaped lunatic. He died 3 years later. He's buried right over by the golf course over there. So people say there's no evidence or anything just because the TV shows say it. Finding Bigfoot is a scripted show. There's good and there's bad of it, but at the end it's a TV show, meant to entertain. And like when people say, oh, there's proof, where would the proof be? Like, dude, the proof, go on Squatch Me Now, go on NVTV. There's new pictures of Bigfoot, new footage of Bigfoot every single day. None of that seeps into the news, CNN, Fox, because it doesn't fit the agenda. Because look at the news more than ever. It's not even the news. It's their scripted TV show. And it has nothing to do with the reality of, Bigfoot. There's thousands of pictures, thousands of books printed, and then people go past Bigfoot structures and signs and they have no clue. Arches and bends and X's and TPs all mean something. There's a language to the forest that's being spoken that most of us laymen can't even pick up on. And there's a frequency and there's thermal and there's different infrared abilities that these creatures have that it just takes. We are nothing in their domain. We stand no chance. So if someone's hunting to kill one, it better be a pure coincidence, and I don't even believe in coincidences, so everything's meant for a reason. And so once in a while one might be hunting a deer and get hit by a semi, but either the Bigfoot around it are gonna clear up that issue or the men in black are gonna wipe it out. But sometimes the monsters creep through. There's been werewolf attacks in Tennessee and by the St. Louis Arch that were spotted by hundreds of people. And over in Pascagoula, the two men that were taken by aliens, thousands of people witnessed the craft. So these men didn't just make it up. It's crazy, and everybody just wants to wipe it under the rug. And UFOs were literally like approved from government, and people want to act like this stuff is still myth. Like, come on. Like, the moon and the sun are deities. They are eyes from above. We've never been to the moon. Stanley Kubrick 2001 leftover footage was that. Like, dude, the president called the guys on the moon and it rang right away. Like, nowadays to call the ISS,
we talked about that.
It takes 9 seconds for it to even get there. It's a facade. Dude, you see how much they're manipulating the story now? Imagine when they had it one channel back in the day and everybody was like proud to be an American. It's the same story. It's the same story every single time.
I've worked in the cable company for 15 years, and before things got even more digital, when you got a phone call from the UK, you had a long delay. Just because that's back in the 90s and the 00 when I worked for the cable companies. The moon landing was back in the 60s to 70s. So if it was delayed for us to the UK, space would be worse.
Yeah, well, I always Kubrick's been spotted with the NASA guys, and he admitted to it in The Shining. He changed Stephen King's details to fit him admitting to faking the moon landing. He changes the room to 237 or 239, and then Danny's T-shirt has the Apollo Bentley and the carpet. Like I said, these movies are like the ultimate art form for these people to communicate and send these channels. So think, Stanley Kubrick was filming that crap decades ago, and he's still sending it to future people that are going to be taking over. It's so crazy. And once you open your eyes, you see, like, Gemini Man with Will Smith. Everybody's like, oh, I love that movie. Dude, it's all about human cloning. Come on, dude.
Hold on. Somebody right there lied to you, because that movie sucks.
What movie is that?
Gemini. It's about a clone of himself that was designed to kill him. So because he knew too much. Even though he retired, he knew too much. He had to die. So they used his clone to kill him. The same guy who trained him to be an assassin. But a stupid movie. Stupid movie. But hey, good news is
the only reason why they made the movie is just to make cloning normal. That movie was junk. Will Smith probably was on set for 3 days. I gotta film 4 different characters, and then they put the movie out because Will Smith's the hot thing.
You have Amazon. I think it's on Amazon.
Gemini Man. Well, I'm in
Gemini
English,
Man.
so I'll write it down.
And let me ask you this:
Running around.
like you said earlier, like news channels, everything is scripted. It is scripted. They only tell the truth that has ratings. You know, Bigfoots and stuff. Unfortunately, there ain't a lot of ratings because they think it's not even real. But for yourself, when you try to research it on the internet, YouTube, Facebook, how do you figure out? Like there are frauds. There are people who just lie about stories. That there is even on YouTube. How do you figure out, like, is this person maybe telling the truth? Is there like certain things you look for in somebody telling the story? Or
honestly, I honestly take it all with like a grain of salt. If I feel a little suspicious about that story, on to the next one, on to the next person. You know, like there's a plethora of pictures and stuff that you can never dig into it all. So if I'm suspicious, it's just to the next one. It was just a possibility. You know, I have pictures that I took myself that I put in my Bigfoot book. That I'm not hoaxing anybody, but it looks like a face in there, and if it's not, it's not. But it's a possible face. So, you know, I think just on to the next. Can't get stuck up on hoaxes or is it real or not. But there's weird ones like Todd Standing that they have direct video of two different creatures, and some people say it's the greatest hoax ever, and some people say it's authentic, and he used special methods to get it. But it all goes with a grain of salt. But even the Patterson Gimlin footage, the famous Patty footage, I got this. This is a replica of her footprint, and I wear a size 13, and it dwarfs my foot. But the famous footage from 1967, taken by two cowboys, you know, they happened upon her in the woods, and they got that grainy footage. That footage is authentic, but there is a darker story to it, that they were actually hunting these creatures down because they were logging the area soon. And they already tracked them, and they knew where they were there. And there's some theories and stories from M.K. Davis that have seen lost parts of the footage. There's pools of blood, and they've also actually massacred like 5 Bigfoot. And Patty was like the mother Bigfoot, and they were hunting her down. And there's actually like a wound on her leg in the footage. And then some other people say there's a baby Bigfoot climbing on her shoulder. And who's to say they don't have little pockets in them like kangaroo too? So it's like the possibilities are endless. But for them to say that that's fake, look up Planet of the Apes. That was the next year made. Those costumes versus that one. You cannot fake an 800-pound girth creature, you know? And there's hundreds of good pictures I've seen. But again, they are masters of their vibration and photograph, and they know us from a million miles away. And there is good photographs out there, but it's just being dwarfed by the BS. So, you know, I just fight through the BS, but I just expose myself to so much that, you know, even if 20% of it's BS, I got 80%, a huge mountain of realness.
Very good. That's good. Yeah, I always figured that David Paulides, I was a fan of his. I read some of his material, and I'm a hunter and fisher. I love them. Look at me. I fucking live in the mountains. Been up and around there. Yeah, but I love about David Paulides. He did say one thing for you guys to understand, that nobody's ever gone missing that has ever carried a weapon or had a GPS. Number one, if you've had a weapon or a GPS, you were never, no problems. Everybody had nothing. You went up there, they had no weapons, no GPS, and they're always missing. And when the children are gone, like you were talking about, some people say, well, it's the Bigfoot's taking the child, and they can't raise the child because the child can't eat what a Bigfoot eats. And then they end up finding the head crushed, the skull will be crushed, and then they'll find the body, but then they'll find the clothes folded.
Folded, yeah.
Folded.
In the middle of a river, too, you know, or in a cliffside that is impossible to get to.
Yeah, and so even a human would have. Why would a human climb and do something as horrific? They say, well, so one of the things that people are like, oh, Bigfoots are beautiful. I get that. We're talking about literature from somebody else, so don't kill me on Messenger. But there's one of the things on the table was, yeah, there's an anthropoid, whatever, out there picking up children when the dads or moms just turn around and they're killing them kids at a distance because they can't raise them or whatever they can't do. The kids won't shut up crying. They fucking whack them. And then they literally fold their clothes.
Yeah.
What the clothes
to try to like put it back. It's like George and Lenny, you know, from Of Mice and Men. It's like they take the kid so much that it's dead, and then they're like, they feel bad about it. And they see all the people looking for it, and they don't want and maybe like the elder from the Bigfoot tribe come and take care of it because they know that thousands of people are going to be looking for these people. But in the missing 401, the hunted, a couple of the hunters definitely went missing with guns though. And then the guns have never been found.
They didn't have any weapons. Left the rifle there, or that. Yeah, they left the rifle there. No, you're right. You're not wrong. They were hunters. They went missing, but they find the rifle, and sometimes they find their clothes too, and their shoes, and they're gone. Like,
and then no body, no skeleton ever. You know, it's pretty.
No footprints, no anything.
Nothing. The cadaver dogs stop. The cadaver dogs stop at the clothes. They run a couple feet and they stop. And the clothes.
And those dogs are sure things. You know.
Yeah, and the dogs they don't go any further. And the clothes are right there. And the rifle is always without the gun. They'll put it down, or they'll find a rifle much like in a spot where they look like they took a leak. They set the rifle down. As soon as they let go of the weapon, they're gone. They're gone. Yep. Like the moment the GPS, they don't have a GPS. They put the rifle down. Boom, gone. It's like they can't take you with wherever they're taking you. You can't have anything with you.
I fell asleep a few times when I was hunting growing up, and I'm like so thankful I wasn't taken or anything. And I think that's because probably there was someone in the vicinity with a gun, or just got lucky, you know, and wasn't around those dark deities. Because, you know, like anything, there's good and there's bad. So there's these ones that want to nurture us, and there's a story. One girl broke her leg and was like bleeding out in the Ocala National Park, and this orange-haired orangutan-looking lady picked her up and held her and brought her back to camp, and held her next to her breast, and she smelled so bad, and the girl was embarrassed that she was like gagging, but the lady saved her life. And it's so crazy, man. There's some deep stories of these things being nurturers, but also hunting us down and taking our women and children.
I've only heard that from Missing 411, and again, I only heard that from his stuff, and I've only heard it from people that had speculated about, well, there's a big, you know, again, what you're saying is most people have had casual encounters, good encounters, no problems, and spiritual, and they felt good, there's no problems. But then again, if you go to David Paulides' stuff with actual people that went out on manhunts where you could believe somebody actually went disappearing, other than people just saying they had a spiritual event from this beautiful hairy creature. Okay, well, what evidence do you have? David Paulides actually had people go out, and again, with the children with their clothes folded on this cliff that he can't get to. You know, like you talked about it, the kid was screaming, and I'm not saying they do that. I'm just saying from his stuff. I'm like, I don't want people to have to go ahead. Bigfoot killing people? I don't know.
It's happening. There was tons of prospectors in California that were found headless when they were searching for gold. You know, there is so many stories of Bigfoot. If I had advice for people, is not to seek them out. You know, keep camping, keep fishing, but don't intercept these beings unless you're ready for war. And I don't want to bring war to things that didn't.
You know, in the state of Washington, you know, it's manslaughter if you kill a Bigfoot.
Killing a Bigfoot.
It's a law. It's a law in Washington that it's manslaughter if you kill a Bigfoot. So if you're trying to do a war, you could go to jail. Unless you can
prove. There's a lot of stories of people killing Bigfoot or having their sights on Bigfoot and realizing it's so man-like. You know, in 50 years with Bigfoot, Mary Green wrote about a family in Tennessee that was a Native American guy, and he saved this little Bigfoot that was crushed by a falling tree, and ended up learning from it because he spoke like 6 Native American languages. And this Bigfoot, you know, they're native, they're true ones to this land, so of course they know Native American tongue, and they grew over 50 years, and Fox grew up and started his own family, and it's phenomenal, man. But these creatures have special abilities and different ways they could heal us, and they took care of their grandpa for a while. It's some deep, heavy stuff. There are thousands of stories of wild man and these Gypsy type creatures all around us.
But remember, you guys can say, remember, it's coming right for us. Then you can shoot.
Yeah.
It's coming right for us. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Boom.
When we were hiking in Bellamy Bridge recently, I think it was on either Halloween or Friday the 13th. We always go out there on, you know, special holidays. Nice. And we smoke CBD, we light candles, we do seances, and we try to communicate to the other side out there. And Bellamy Bridge is the the ghost of Elizabeth Bellamy. She died on her wedding day. She supposedly was in her wedding dress and leaned against a candle and then caught on fire and then ran outside, jumped in the river to put the fire out, and then ended up dying. But they say she actually died of malaria, and then her baby did, and then the husband killed himself. So either way, real dark stuff. But it's in the middle of the swamp, so a lot of people go out for paranormal stuff and orbs and taking pictures, and I love that too. But I go out there to see the skunk ape because there's been a lot of instances of the Mariana caveman out there. But well, recently I had my GoPro camera out and got a loud whoo, and then about 25 minutes later, right down the bank from us, a tree crashed down on us, and I was with my buddy Ronnie, who's the military veteran. He had a big gun. I just had a knife. And, we left right after that because we knew we were being threatened. And then within 24 hours, I signed up for a class to get my carried concealed because you can't go out there without protection, because those things out adapt us so much more out there, and you're just like ant on pavement. Like he could just step on you. And luckily they knew that I wasn't trying to threaten them. I'm just trying to bridge with them. But so were a lot of good people in the missing 401 cases, and so were the prospectors.
But you know how I know you're telling the truth? Because when most people will say a tree fell down, they investigate it. You're like, no, we got the fuck out of there. We know they're threatening us. That's what a normal person would do. Listen, if a creature, even if you didn't see a creature, a tree falls, almost kills you, yes, I'm out of there. I'm gone.
100%. We outstayed our welcome. We could be out there for 20, 40 minutes, but we were out there a couple hours, and they wanted their time to actually roam. So we were in trouble, and maybe they were trying to do their own thing with the Friday the 13th or the equinox up in the sky. And they wished us out there. And luckily I took their words very loud and clear. But back in the day, when I'd be out there drunk and sneaking into golf courses to fish in their ponds because they always have exotic fish, we've been ran out by strange lights and whispers in the sky. So it can come in loud crashes and bangs, and it can come in little whispers that feel like little just cold wind on the back of your leg, and it's just so much. They can whisk you in, and there's been so many incidents of people just getting their mind taken over and just running straight into the woods and not being heard from again, or just being, lured into the woods while sleeping. I have one of my best friends. We were in 5th grade Mohican camp. It's like a Native American. We learn a lot about the Indian history, and has a lot of history and ghost lore. And he was lured out of our cabin in the middle of the night while sleepwalking, and luckily the counselor found him. But like, my best friend could have been killed, by who knows what. And people just want to whisk it under the rug, and and made him be like the bad kid, when he was the victim. The kid was so freaking scared, and they want to make it like he's trying to escape. No, how about you guys keep a better eye on it?
Let me ask you this, because this is fair. This is fair for somebody from the chat. I respect any kind of question, even though if it sounds like he's maybe taking a shot or not. But this guy did write, come on, this is silly on these Bigfoot hunters, and none of them can give us pictures or videos. But beyond that question, why would more people maybe looking for Bigfoot or not, usually now with the phones, with cameras and videos, taking better pictures? I asked this with other hunters before too. Why don't you think that we don't get more pictures? Is it because TV's covering it up, or government?
It's because of the algorithm on everybody's social media, and because they're liking posts about reality TV. Look, how about you check my feed? There's new Sasquatch pictures every single freaking day. Okay. @ watch me now. @ NVTV. How about you go look for about 20 minutes, and you'll see about 200 Bigfoot images that will freaking hit you in your face. Dude, there's so many pictures. Look up the Mayaca skunk ape, dude. It's a clear picture of Bigfoot, like right out there. I'm trying to find the book with it in. But it's like, here, I found it.
Let's see it.
Mayaca skunk ape. Like, dude, that's a clear picture. 2 pictures of movement of their mouth. If you even Google Mayaca skunk ape, it comes up. There's thousands of pictures. The pattern, like I said, the Patterson Gimlin footage is enough. There's one, right there. Right there's the proof. All the effort. I got a bone. I got footprints. There's 120 documented DNA collections of hair, semen, scat, blood, skin, David Paulides, Scott Carpenter, look it up. The Sasquatch Genome Project. It's a book. Like, sorry, the books cost money, and like data is actually, you know, sometimes you have to like go through a door and pay a price, but not everything's on your social media feed and on your Facebook when you're liking BS about Joe Biden and then Trump administering vaccines. Dude, you're not going to get a hint of the truth. But I follow UFO pages. I'll follow Bigfoot pages. My feed is cryptid monsters and strange occurrences. There's new video of UFO occurrences every single day. Just because your local news station, who is, you know, blackmailed and paid into something, isn't showing us, like, come on, man. You're asking about pictures. Look at the Patterson Gimlin footage, 100%.
No, that's awesome to say, because he did right. No, he wasn't trying to be rude or disrespectful.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm not attacking him. I'm attacking everybody that maybe even takes it out to that.
And that's why we do these shows, so people can hear other people and maybe start following their side and say, hey,
for sure.
He's got some stuff here. Okay, this is where I can go. Because you're right.
And I'm never attacking the individual. I'm attacking the system that shaped that individual's mind to even think like that. You know, people asking like, oh, what does flat Earth benefit the government? Well, if there's thousands of continents and they got us on 6, isn't that bright as day? You know, that's why some people get like agitated by the questions, because it's like sometimes the answer is like so obvious that you just want to like backhand them. Like, dude, Bigfoot is real. There's hundreds of pictures. There's thousands of bones. There's been 800 newspaper articles written about bones found. Like, dude, there's giants that roamed America and they still got freaking George Washington on our dollar bill. Come on, man. We have ancient history. Like, are you a true American? Come on, find our history, not the junk they painted for us. Like, I'm a true patriot. I'm a true American. I came from Ohio, the land of the mound builders. 10,000 mounds. I was at the Kolomoki pyramids last week. I was standing on top of the pyramid. People will still deny there's no pyramids in America. What are you talking about? I'm standing on one. You know, there in Chattahoochee, there's 8 mounds that line up with the winter and summer solstice that are exactly like freaking the hedges in England. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that the true beings of this earth are wiped out, and I feel like us humans are like trying to take their place. Like, it's the white man is doing it in America, and humanity is doing it in the world. And come on. Does that not send goosebumps up your freaking spine? Energy is not created nor destroyed, dude. I think we're tapping into something. Yeah. And so everybody wants to say there's no pictures, there's no evidence. How about you use your Instagram for something useful? Come on, Squatch Me Now, NVTV. How about you buy my book, Big Brother Bigfoot? Because I got pictures of bones, scat, faces, footprints. Like, dude, how about just do some reading? Anybody that's saying there's no evidence, like, get off your butt, channel your energy, dude. Your ancestors were magical. You can draw a line and your family tree in the dirt.
Breaking news. Hold on, there's breaking news right here. Sorry, Bob, your semen is not good enough for the alternatives anymore. The aliens are Sasquatch now. Bob?
Bro, I was going to do that joke. He stole it. He's already stole it. I was going to say, dude, semen? I was going to back up a little bit with the semen. We got like a happy Sasquatch out there. How's that roll?
There's been women in that 50 years to Bigfoot. There was a woman in Tennessee. This is the dark, very topic. A woman was raped by a Bigfoot.
Okay.
In one documented case, and I'm sure there's hundreds of them. So connect the dots. That's how they got that DNA. But Scott Carpenter and David Place, I'm not sure. You know how they got theirs, if they just found it, and I'm not sure if it was their exact team. But but that, you know, the dark thing I just said, that's one way they found it, and they can clearly see that it wasn't a human being. You know, their genetics inside it. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. There's a really dark side to this shit. When people are making jokes, people are suffering. People are going missing. People have to leave their village. Port Alberni in Canada was overran, and most of the people had to leave. So, like, people want to laugh and say there's no camera, there's no photograph. Ha! Go talk to a witness. Go talk to a family who lost a family member or who lost their house, and then hear them cry to you, and then you want to mock about no camera. Like, that's a joke. Like,
They
that's
ran
what I'm saying. Like, humanity, I'm fighting for humanity. And when people ask questions that, like, degrade humanity, they slipped up. And I'm not mad at them as an individual. I'm mad at everything that set them to be on that path.
I love your
the
passion,
school
man.
system,
I love your passion. I love your passion.
And friends that don't even stand up for each other. You know, some friends will laugh and family members will laugh at people that had Bigfoot encounters because it's a big hairy guy. When that person's soul has been shook and they don't even know where to turn. There's so many people in Australia that talk on Yowie hunters that it's women and they're crying and they have problems and they have to go to therapy. You think they just made that up? You want to mock pictures? Who gives a F about pictures when there's people suffering? You know? Like, that's why I laugh at pictures. I got a whole book full of pictures, but no one cares. No one fucking cares. Come on, man. Asking about pictures? Dude, talk to the people. There's thousands of witnesses, and they're easily obtainable. You can go talk to them, schedule an interview. You know, I'm not saying to you guys, but anybody that's questioning them, question people's integrity. There's thousands of family people out there that are suffering, and the least me and you could do is spread the awareness. If people want to ask, where's a picture? I'm too busy pulling the boat out of the water to take a picture, you know?
Yeah, Australia. What do you hear about that one?
Are the pictures?
Oh,
Yowie hunters. Yeah, look up Yowie hunters on Australia. Yeah, it's a great channel that they do firsthand interviews with witnesses. It's incredible. And I just am so infuriated because we still have our life. People have lost their life and people want to waste their life saying, oh, there's no pictures. Dude, there are pictures. Research. Like, dude, did I just show you a picture of the Mayaca skunk clear day?
No, you don't. That's why you're on here, to show pictures.
I appreciate the platform. I appreciate the platform.
That's exactly what we do here. This is, you know, because we don't know. A lot of people don't know where to go. I started this channel because I didn't know where to go and what people to talk to, because who are the frauds? Who are the real? You know, that's why we do this.
And again, I'll say it. I'm never attacking the individual. I'm attacking the system because, trust me, I've been fooled too. I wasn't really fooled about Bigfoot or any of that, but like, I believed in the education. I believed in teachers. I believed in, you know, I believed in recycling, actually recycled, but if you still have, you know, the wrapper on your bottle, they throw it to the curb. Like, come on, man. We live in an illusion full of facades and placebos. Like, dude, I'm trying to get past this barrier.
And that's the problem with the system. We don't know who to believe.
Right, right. And right now, like, a civil war is brewing, and dude, you don't know what side you're on because, you know, mama likes this, grandpa likes this, I believe this, my boss believes this, and we all are good people at heart, but we're all manipulated by our different loves, desires, and needs. It's tough. So if I sound aggressive, I'm only aggressive for the soul. So I might be punching you in the face, but I'm saving you in the long run, you know? So, and I hope people punch me in my face, because guess what? If I'm out in the woods and I didn't answer, you know, what hit me in my face, then I probably wouldn't be here right now. So sometimes we just got to get hit. We got to take the fall, you know? And I've took many falls, but, I believe that the soul needs to move on, and they're holding us down. So that begins with the truth. And, you know, when they say there's no Bigfoot, dude, like, now more than ever, go on YouTube. Like, there's more than ever, there's proof everywhere. So if you say there's no look, everybody's got to quit being lazy, you know?
Well, you're right. And you do got to do more research, because, you know, if you do type in, like, if you go to YouTube, you type in Bigfoot, you're probably going to get the teeny boppers, not the real channels. You're going to get the ones that are not even researching Bigfoot.
Well, the most views.
Let's do an experiment here. Hold on. Let me do this.
Yeah, it's usually something off the television or a reality TV show.
It's the algorithm. Their BS goes first, and they push that he's a primate and that he's a monkey. You know, he's not. They're beings.
Here's an experiment
with real earthlings.
I'm gonna type in Bigfoot. Let's see what comes up. Let's do an experiment. Let's type in Bigfoot.
It'll be a movie.
Okay, look, this is what you get. You get news channels. You get Channel 13. You get Animal Planet. Like they're gonna tell you the truth. Animal Planet, ABC News.
Narrative.
You're not getting real people. That's the problem. Look, Travel Channel, National Geographic. So.
Like I said, man, on my channel, I interview people all the time in my shop, and I got like 10 interviews on there, and then I got about 20 more on my SoundCloud. Like I've interviewed 30 people on video about Sasquatch encounters, but they don't get pushed to the front. Like, you know, those are out there. If you search how to hunt,
it's all Animal Planet. Look, all Animal Planet.
Yeah,
there's one China's Bigfoot, South China Morning Post.
The Yeren, Yeren. That's the China.
I've never heard
and the Yeti, of course, and the Abominable Snowman out there.
The Yeren. Okay, I've never heard of that. I've never ever heard of that. Yeren.
Yeah, the Yeren, the Yeti, the Yowie.
Bigfoot and then this is what I'm talking about. Jokes. This is YouTube. This is what comes up first. Jokes like this. Bigfoot is gay. So what?
and there probably are. There probably are some that are.
But I'm like, I still cannot find a regular Joe channel when you just type in the word Bigfoot. You can't find it.
You think there's a transgender Bigfoot? I wonder.
Here, let me say some really good channels that people can go to. All right, How to Hunt. Steve Isdall with How to Hunt. It's the facts by howtohunt.com.
Okay.
He has been narrating Sasquatch encounters for like the last 2 years and built up a Sasquatch community of 100,000 plus people. Look at any one of How to Hunt's videos and all the comments. It is a whole community of people that are waking up. So that's like anybody that's questioning it, dude, do your research. There's hundreds of thousands of people subscribed to Steve on How to Hunt, and they're waking up. He drops knowledge every single day. And then Dixie Cryptid, he's a guy from Alabama. He's been narrating Bigfoot and cryptid encounters for like the last 5 years, hundreds of encounters. Cryptids Canada, she's been narrating hundreds of encounters, has hundreds of episodes, five encounters each one. Buckeye Bigfoot. Like, dude, Swamp Dweller. Dude, there's so many channels that they narrate encounters, and there's hundreds of them every single week. And when people,
I didn't know that. That's why you're here. Bob's
I'm glad to open up the door because there's a whole community that is thriving and flourishing. And David Paulides and Steve Isdall and Scott Carpenter are like the three horsemen, and then all of the rest of us can just try to, help. But it's all connected, man. And Steve Isdall from How to Hunt. And he takes a no BS approach to it, and he'll tell you that they're beings, they have language, they have special powers, like they can absorb into color, and like you guys could, and not you guys, but anybody could challenge Connor, the skinny long hair kid. But go against Steve Isdall, the baddest big game hunter of Canada history, and he'll set you straight, But hey, if you don't, you don't take it. But this is his book actually, and in it he has over 200 not newspaper articles, encounters. I'll just read a couple titles. No shortage of rock throwing. He saw 4 of them, a female and a baby. When I walked, it walked. Even the game wardens. High level security still saw one. Montana and close up. Changed my hunting forever. Illinois cop tells all. Like that's literally this much of the thing. Those are all stories from people. There's 200 plus encounters. There's 302 pages full of encounters from people all around the world, all different wakes of life. And of course, the doubters will say, oh, some of them might be fake. All right, even if 10% are fake, even if 20% are fake, 80% are real. And all it matters is 1% to be real. And our ancestors are freaking giants, man. So we need to stop looking into like a little hole, and we need to break through the tunnel and like enter the labyrinth, man. David Bowie was trying to tell us something, but we put up our ears and we tried to draw these people as outcasts, but some of them might be prophets, man. And I think we're all prophets. We're all clairvoyant. If we could just freaking slow down once in a while and turn off the Jersey Shore on the TV and stop questioning like integrity, like we need to move forward. And like I talk to police officers around here and I ask them about Bigfoot sightings, and some of them look at me like they know, and some of them say, well, we would arrest the person that reported it. Well, how about you look into the thousands of reports by other fellow police officers? Come on. Support really good. And like my dad's a fireman, so I've really dug into all the forest fire stories of Bigfoot, and all of them in Australia and in the California fires. Dude, there's Bigfoot sightings that flourish. And after Hurricane Michael, where the whole land and terrain was wiped out, dude, the paranormal energy is soaring high, and Bigfoot encounters happen all the time. And there's wild packs of dogs, like eight around, running around. Like, dude, times are a lot stranger than we give credit to. Even if you look outside now, things are like, apocalypto weird. And it's messed up. But people got to start, drawing our lines short, because our existence is so much greater and grander than what we've been given. We've been told we're an accident. We're told we're not even important. We're told we die and our stuff just evaporates. No, this is we're just a vessel. We can go to the next chapter, but in between, we can make things happen. We can manifest destiny. We can bring miracles from the clouds in the sky. And, you manifest with your words. You spell words. We're all witches. We're all Wicca. We're all American tribal in our true source.
Let me ask you this, because we're close to the end of the show. We're close to the end. So what are you doing? What's next on your research project? Are you going back out on a hunt? Are you like doing a book or a live show or something? What's next for you?
Yeah, well, every day I'm adventuring and going on hunts. So every day on Bigfoot Anonymous, I'll be, dropping some new content. But I plan on going to Guinea Springs here in Central Florida soon, because there's been some Bigfoot sightings, and we're going to camp out there because there's some ancient tribal springs that people found, petrified bones of saber-toothed tigers and strange mammals that used to roam these swamp lands. So we're going to explore that. And then every day, we're checking out like the Florida Caverns or the Coamoki Mounds or the abandoned Highlight Arena or the Garden of Eden Trail. So every day is something new. And I work at a comic book store. So every day I'm also talking to new people and interviewing new people in my shop. So every day is new content. But I got 3 books published on Amazon now, and I'm working on 3 more. My next few ones are going to be Every Camp Has a Crystal Lake, and that one's going to be out in the next few weeks. And then Every Town Has an Elm Street. And then yesterday I went to Elm Street in town and took a picture for the cover. So that was awesome. Then I went to the famous Russ House Mansion and did some paranormal investigating. And then the third book of that series is called Crooked Calendars and Constipated Consciousness, because they're holding our consciousness back. And I think that starts with the calendar, because October should be the 8th month. September should be the 7th. December, Deca, should be 10. November should be 9. We're not even, like I said, they don't even know what size the Earth is, or they think they're on a ball floating upside down. They don't even know what day it is. And then 24 hours a day, that's rounded up. So, like, we can celebrate Christmas, but realistically, with the Earth and the sun and the moon, it's not Christmas. We're under their control. And it all starts with, we don't even know where we are. We don't know who we represent, and we got people questioning other good humans and listening to the freaking Satanist government that it's constipating our consciousness. It's blocking us up, and it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. But dude, spring is supposed to be sunny, not winter like January.
Guys, when he's talking about October being 8th month, slow down with your speech. Say October. Oct is 8. Do you understand? Yep. So it says it right there when he says it's actually the 8th month. So yeah, he's correct on that one.
That's what I'm saying. We forgot our language, man. Horizon, sea level, spell words. Like, we've totally thrown out some of our fundamentals to humanity. And then then people want to throw it back in my face. It's like, dude, get out of here before I smack.
Well, we got another message for Bob.
Of course,
it's okay, Bob. I received a telepathic message from the Tall Whites, and they said they can help. Your semen is in good hands.
I had an abduction story, and of course, he's always obsessed with me being milked for the aliens, and. I said probably was milk for alien. Yeah, I was probably milk for alien. So that's that little.
What do people think wet dreams are? You think you can actually get that stimulation like just dreaming? Come on.
Yeah.
There's
probably abducted.
I did put your Instagram in the chat because they can probably follow you easy on Instagram. And well, guys, this was fun. This was awesome. I love having new people on the show and giving us their full passion. That's what I love.
Yeah.
I love to see passion. That's how you know you got a person who believes what they believe.
I love the Matrix too. So all your Matrix listeners, holla at me because I love the Matrix. I love to talk about the Matrix as well.
We got a lot of Matrix shows on this channel.
A lot of Matrix shows on this.
Bring me back to have another group discussion. I saw on this app we could fit 10 people in here. Let's bring Trinity, Morpheus. We can contact Neo.
I'll talk to my Matrix friends, and maybe we'll do another big Matrix show.
Matrix show. They're big.
Bigger Matrix show.
We go everywhere. Oh god,
that would be awesome. And I definitely recommend watching the Animatrix too, because 9 short films made the world second renaissance. Neo knew what he was talking about, man. I love that, bro.
Eric, before we let him go, I gotta ask him, man. Do you at your store? Do you guys carry Too Much Coffee Man, the comic?
I can look. I'll definitely write that down. And we just have thousands of comics, and we sell them for 99 cents each. But I'll get some, and then I'll get your address. I'll send it.
Yeah. Because I actually search out every one of their comics. I've got the collection, and it's hard to find because nobody ever carries this one obscure Too Much Coffee. It's called Too Much Coffee Man. I'll leave it with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going back tomorrow, so I'll spend an hour in the corner, and my boss will be like, "What you doing, man? Finding some comics, man. Find some comics."
And then this Friday, when we come back on the show on Friday, we're going to be talking about not exactly about near-death experience, but we're going to be talking about different deaths depending on the religion that you're involved. We're going to pull up different religions and what they believe, what happens to you when you die. So not near death. We're going to be talking about different religions because there's a lot of religions out there, and they all have different beliefs on what happens to you when you die.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to dive into this Friday.
That sounds awesome. I think you're going to run into the firmament a lot in that, so I'm really excited to hear that. That's awesome.
So beyond that, guys, we're going to end the show. I want to thank our friend for coming on, and he will be back. And check out his book on Amazon.
Yeah, please check out Eden Swamp's Road Trip to Eden. It's a journey about me, and it's a story about you. It documents my journey from Lake Erie down to the Florida swamps. I lived out in my car, and I joined a punk rock musical band, and I stayed at marinas and lived at national parks and camped in dark alleys and everything. And I met a lot of good people, and when you follow your destined path, all your needs are met in abundance. And it's just a journal. It's just a diary. And then Big Brother Bigfoot is my baby. That's my pride and joy. That shows my documentation on about 15 different Bigfoot Sasquatch type creatures, like the Mogollon Monster, Ohio Grassman, Florida Skunk, Tennessee Titans, Providence Canyon Creature, some Canada monsters. I really dig deep into all this stuff from Florida to California to Canada to Ohio. And I've been summoning UFOs down in the Bahamas and the Bermuda Triangle to start the year last year, and I feel like the rest of the juju is still blanketing my life. But, It's been a pretty wild time. Thank you for letting you guys letting me on here, and you guys freaking hearing me out and being there for me when I'm on my crazy spiels. But for the soul, I fight for the soul. I fight against evil, and there is way more than they tell us. And this earth is way bigger than they tell us. Resources are not really limited, but we should still treat this earth like one, man. I still recycle cardboard and plastic, but I know there's thousands of continents. And look up the Hebrew conception of the universe, because that's what the Bible's based on, and that's pretty that fulfills the soul, and that's what it's based on, man. It's the word of God. And you can go to the Garden of Eden in your mind or Garden of Eden in Florida, and I think you'll still get the same answers. So
very good.
Channel your inner being. And the mound builders definitely walked all around America and all over the known continents. There's many mound builder remnants in England and throughout the whole United Kingdom. And in Ireland, there was giants, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's been so many tales of the red-haired giants and Jack versus the Beanstalk. There's lands in the sky, castle in the sky. And all these people want to watch anime and then stop it at the screen. No. All the stories anime is telling you are true. All the sci-fi films, all the horror movies, it's all based on something. Reality is an illusion. We're in it.
Beyond that, I think he said it. I think he said it perfectly. Guys, we'll see you all later.
All right, bye.